Welcome to MTN Outdoors.
Hi there, I'm John Riley and I'll be your guide for this week's episode of MTN Outdoors. Hot weather across the state has created dangerous fire conditions, and fire season has returned in earnest to Montana. With tens of thousands of acres burned across the state, our own Tom Buchanan recently caught up with Governor Greg Gianforte as they toured the Horse Gulch fire near Canyon Ferry.
I'm at Canyon Ferry Lake, right outside of the Horse Gulch fire right here behind me, where I spoke with the governor about the state's resources and readiness to fight fires. On Tuesday, Governor Greg Gianforte met with fire managers to get an update on the Horse Gulch fire. Gianforte said that the state is well prepared for this and other similar wildfires throughout the state.
The state has been preparing all year for fire season, from getting our equipment ready at DNRC, to recruiting seasonal firefighters, to training members of the Montana National Guard, as well as our mutual aid agreements we have with neighboring states and other agencies. So we are ready.
House Bill 883, passed in 2023, assisted in this preparation. The bill essentially put more money into the fire fund and affected the way in which the state keeps it funded. Amanda Castor, director of Montana DNRC, says that the additional funding has bolstered their mission of aggressive initial attacks on wildfires.
That gives us additional financial support to bolster our suppression response. So that's meant additional resources, both on the ground and aviation support, to help us better respond to fire.
Brandon Chakowski, Operations Section Chief with Northern Rockies Team 2, tells me that the fire footprint from the 2000 Cave Gulch fire has helped firefighters in containing this current fire. As of Tuesday afternoon, the more than 13,000-acre fire is 10% contained. Chakowski says that they hope to up that containment over the next week, allowing for less personnel required on scene.
Our hope tonight, this is a piece of hand line that comes up to a section of dozer line between a road, and our plan tonight is to use 2 crews and an aerial ignition drone and favorable winds to burn that out back to the main fire itself.
As we get deeper into what is starting out as an active fire season, Governor Gianforte has a message for all Montanans.
We'd much prefer blue skies and clear horizons. That's not what we have right now. So I would just encourage all Montanans to be careful when they're out in the woods.
Reporting from Canyon Ferry Lake, Tom Buchanan, MTN News.
A vehicle with 5 passengers became fully submerged in a Yellowstone National Park thermal feature last week. Park officials said in a media release the car inadvertently drove off the roadway into the Semi-Centennial Geyser thermal feature near Roaring Mountain between Mammoth Hot Springs and Norris Junction. The release said all 5 occupants exited the vehicle on their own and were taken to a nearby hospital with non-life-threatening injuries. Rangers temporarily closed both lanes of the roadway near the accident to safely remove the car that was submerged in about 9 feet of water. According to the release, the Semi-Centennial Geyser had acidic and hot surface water temperatures that ranged from around 105 degrees Fahrenheit.
I could tell it looked a lot smaller than the water, and then when I put it up, when I got the first glimpse of it out of the water, it looked very much bigger than I thought.
Much bigger indeed, as 12-year-old Wade Mershot from Trout Creek now holds the state record for large-scale sucker fish, weighing close to 7 pounds, measuring more than 25 inches long.
I'm like, this is going to be state record, and there was no service where I was at, so it was kind of hard to see if it was state record, but I guess I thought it was going to be a lot smaller, about 5.5 pounds, maybe 6, but it's closer to 7.
Wade caught the record-breaking fish out of the Noxon Reservoir, where he often fishes for trout and bass. He used a night crawler to drag in the monster sucker fish.
It didn't really fight. It was just trying to lock on its bed. Then it caught on a couple sticks, and I did not want to lose the fish. So
Montana Fish, Wildlife, and Parks biologists verified the fish and issued a state record certificate to Wade on July 1st. Wade's dad, Josh, says his son would fish all day if he could.
I'm more proud that he's out and outdoors recreating. It seems to be lost with youth a lot in this generation. They're obsessed with watching people do stuff on cell phones instead of being out and outdoors.
Josh hopes Wade's big catch encourages kids to get out and go fishing this summer.
We're blessed with having so much national forest and places and forest access. It's very easy for people, especially in the Northwest, to go out and enjoy it.
Wade hopes to become a professional fisherman when he grows up. In the meantime, he has his eyes set on another record.
Yeah, I'm going to try to break the world record next time. I think it's possible because I was only half pound off of it, but I think I can do it.
I'm hoping if I put Wade's tips to practice, I might just beat his record. Wish me luck. In Trout Creek, Sean Wells, MTN News.
Visiting a ghost town or an old homestead like the Parker homestead here outside of Willow Creek is like taking a step back in time. But with empty buildings and quiet streets, it's hard to imagine what it was like when this area was new. For Montana's premier ghost town, Bannock, a lot of dedicated people spend one weekend each year trying to bring that community back to life. That happens this weekend.
Bannock Days is probably the best way to do that for Bannock. There's reenactors that are there to share their wealth of information and knowledge about Bannock and what life was like here in the early days of settlement of Montana. And it's just a really family friendly and exciting way to see that.
Family friendly because Bannock Days offers lots of hands-on activities to help you experience life in Bannock in the 1860s.
Personally, my favorite is gold panning because you get to actually get your hands on some pay dirt and find gold in a gold pan. But there's candle making, there's other artisan demonstrations, there's reenactments and other things that really make this a really fun event for families and visitors.
Jacobson notes that parking is limited at Bannock State Park. He encourages carpooling, or better yet, catching a free ride.
There's also a shuttle service that they can take advantage of. There will be buses traveling from the fairgrounds in Dillon to take you to Bannock Days. It's a free shuttle, and then you don't even have to worry about parking while you're there.
Bannock Days runs Saturday 9 to 5, Sunday 9 to 4:30. Head over to the FWP website for more information. At the Parker Homestead near Willow Creek, Chet Lehman, MTN News.
Sky Ski Resort stays busy all summer long. I'm here seeing a unique excursion where folks can see 3 states from the top of the mountain. Jason Ingeman is visiting Montana for the first time. While staying in Big Sky, he wanted to embark on an adventure his whole family could come along on.
This is like one of the few things that we were able to find where people of all ages, you know, my youngest is 7 and my grandparents are in their early 70s, and everybody, it's just tailored for everybody to enjoy the whole experience.
Stacy Harris, Big Sky's public relations manager, has enjoyed the scenic views the expedition has to offer since its summer opening on July 4th.
This experience is really cool because we're on one of the tallest peaks in the greater Yellowstone ecosystem with no hike required. We have views of 3 states, Montana, Idaho, and Wyoming, and 2 national parks, Yellowstone and Grand Teton.
The new Lone Peak tram opened December of 2023. The old tram installed 28 years ago only held 15 people, while these new cabins can hold more than 70.
One of the coolest things that we have this year is in our brand new tram, we have 2 glass floor panels. So on the way up, you can look down through the floor to see as we're cruising up the mountain.
From the Mountain Village base area, we rode up the Swift Current chairlift and boarded custom-built safari vehicles, which transported us to the brand new tram and up to the summit of Lone Mountain.
It certainly feels like the air conditioning is on while we're going through a bit of a heat wave, so a really nice way to get up here and cool off.
And if you're lucky, you can see mountain goats.
I think the kids loved it. You know, I think that there's a lot of aspects up here on the mountain to enjoy, even down there at base camp where you start out. There's a lot of activities for, you know, young kids to enjoy and just have fun, and it's amazing how fast time passes.
Lone Peak Expedition runs Fridays through Sundays now until September 8th. For more information, visit our website. In Big Sky, Megan Elaine, MTN News.
Coming up after the break, we see how Montanans have been racing in Big Sky country, and we learn some ways to beat the heat. But first, it's time for some trivia. It has been a scorcher lately, but do you know what is the hottest temperature ever recorded on record in Montana? That answer coming up after the break.
We now return to MTN Outdoors.
Welcome back. So do you know what is the hottest temperature ever recorded in Montana? recorded both in Glendive on July 20th, 1893 and Medicine Lake on July 5th, 1937, 117 degrees Fahrenheit is the hottest recorded temperatures in the state. With wildfire season back in earnest, that unfortunately means that smoke has returned as well. Now, smoke can present numerous health risks, but there are things you can do to stay safe while out recreating.
I'm here at the College M Trail, a popular Bozeman hike where its parking lot is usually stuffed throughout the summer, but today it's practically empty. So let's talk about why. It's very empty here today. Why do you think that is?
Well, I wondered about that. I didn't know if it was the heat or if it was the smoke.
If you live in Bozeman, you've probably noticed by now it's a little smoky. And combined with this heat we're facing, with the temperatures being in the 90s over the last week, recreators are not too happy. It's pretty smoky today. Did you notice that at all?
I did. That definitely makes it harder to breathe.
According to our chief meteorologist, Mike Hurd, the smoke we're seeing here in Bozeman is coming from two different sources. Some Oregon wildfires, as well as a large fire near Canyon Ferry that has grown to be more than 10,000 acres. The air quality in Bozeman Friday is moderate, so I went to the health department to see how concerning that should be for recreators around town.
Hot and smoky conditions definitely are considerations people should consider when they're going out. That's really important for you to individually assess your own risks of those situations, as some individuals are more susceptible to heat and smoke.
Travis Horton is the Director of Environmental Health for Gallatin City County Health Department. He tells me when the air quality is moderate, if you're out on a hike that lasts more than an hour, to monitor sensitive groups and limit vigorous activities. According to Montana Health and Wildfire, smoke can increase the risk of respiratory illness and infection, such as bronchitis, asthma, pneumonia, and chronic obstructive pulmonary disease. Others may experience cardiovascular issues and even heart attacks. Travis tells me to keep yourself safe while in smoky conditions, check air quality before you head out, limit your time on the trail, and wear a mask if you're still concerned. And then there's the heat.
Generally for the heat, consider going out in the parts of the day that are cooler, morning or afternoon. When you're out, utilize light-colored, lightweight clothing that's loose-fitting so it helps keep you cool. Rest often, pace yourself.
Which is advice one hiker I spoke with followed today.
I walked and basically stopped in every shady patch I could.
For more information and air quality conditions in Montana, visit our website. In Bozeman, Cassidy Powers, MTN News.
At the Sun River Mud Bog races, as tires sink into the dirt, community rises as people get together to race for a good cause.
Well, this will be our 27th race. And so doing a couple of them a year. So we've been doing it since before 2010.
Merja Farms grows dryland wheat, but in the summer it hosts mud bog races. Side-by-side mud drags, sand drags, slime races, and tough truck courses bring racers from all around to Sun River to race in 6 inches of mud.
We run everything from motorcycles, snowmobiles, ATVs, daily drivers up to alcohol-blowing cars.
All the money raised from the races goes back to the impressive Sun River Robotics Club or other places it is needed in the community.
We've just been doing it for the robotics, or every now and then we'll have, like, one of the racers had a leukemia blood issue and needed money, and so we raised money for them, and then another one had a cancer problem, and we've raised money for them too.
For the racers, it's a great time to get behind the wheel, like Shelby Fowler and her 1973 Chevy K20.
This is our first time here. We've never raced here. We usually go as far as Roy and Drummond, and then that's about as much as we race. So this year, we're going a little bit out of our comfort zone.
It's hard to say what's better, the races.
Right when you're first there and just the adrenaline's going through.
Or the community.
You get to meet a lot of different people. We've met a lot of people across the state that we've made really good friends with. So that's, racing community is always a family community, so it's good.
The race family is incredible. So they've been coming for years, and the relationships we get with them is just incredible.
Races take place all weekend, and whether you end with a trophy or with your wheels stuck in the mud, you know that you are helping out a good local cause. In Sun River, I'm Tommy Lynch, MTN News.
The Yellowstone Off-Road Racing Series kicked off 13 years ago and just wrapped up the second leg of its 4 races of 2024. The last one took place just outside of Broadview, and it's the longest race of the series with a near 50-mile course.
I think we had our largest number ever in Broadview this year was like 122, and that was single entry. That was everybody across the board.
The series also offers a 12-hour race where a driver or team of drivers tries to complete as many laps in that 12 hours. That can really put the mental and physical fortitude of its racers to the test.
You know, your arms get tired, your hands get tired, your legs get tired, your back starts hurting from bouncing off everything. It's just telling yourself, you know, if you went too hard over something that's really rough and it hurts, you got to tell yourself, okay, next time I got to be a little easier on that or try to miss it or whatever. So.
My longest race was 9.5 hours, and I'll never do it again. So when we came up with the 12-hour idea, it was like, well, that's worse than my 9.5, so let's see how it goes. But they could have 3 drivers and 3 passengers, so you could swap out how you wanted. We had, I think, 4 guys Ironman it. So by Ironman it, meaning they drove the whole thing.
Now these rigs don't just show up on race day ready to go. Racers spend countless hours of their free time making sure everything is just right. But even then, there are no guarantees they can finish the race, whether that be because of rough terrain or engine issues.
You have to tear the vehicle completely down, check every weld, check every bolt, check everything to make it ready to go for the next race. So you basically spend a full-time job making sure it's ready to go. So I usually stay after work. I'll stay till sometimes 10, 11 o'clock at night, every night, especially before race week.
The third leg of the Yellowstone Off-Road Racing Series, the Buffalo Chip 100, is July 19th and 20th in Sturgis, South Dakota. For MTN Sports, I'm Alec Boffinger.
Coming up after the break, we take a look at drone laws in Montana and what people need to know. And a recent incident with a dog off leash led to a woman being sprayed with bear spray.
We now return to MTN Outdoors.
Welcome back. The chance of running into wildlife is pretty common here in Montana, which is why many people carry bear spray with them, even when out and about in their own neighborhoods. But a recent incident in Gallatin County with a dog off leash led to a woman being bear sprayed and a man being charged with assault. MTN's Cassidy Powers reports.
An incident that happened Wednesday, a woman was just walking her dog down the street, and it led to her getting sprayed in the face with bear spray, all because a dog wasn't on his leash.
Mr. Keller, you've been charged with a felony in 45-5-213, assault with a weapon.
This is 41-year-old Casey Keller, the man accused of bear spraying a woman in the face. According to court documents, at around 9 p.m. Wednesday, a woman was walking her puppy along Magenta Road, just south of Four Corners, when an unleashed dog ran towards the woman and her puppy. The woman was reportedly carrying bear spray, and she sprayed the dog as it aggressively charged her and her puppy. That's when, according to court documents, 41-year-old Casey Keller ripped the bear spray out of her hand, sprayed it in her face and eyes, and screamed, "How do you like that?" The condition of the woman and her puppy is currently unknown. Keller appeared in court Thursday morning, charged with assault with weapon. This incident raised the question of how important dog leashes really are. I walked around Gallatin County Regional Park and asked some dog parents if they usually keep their fur babies on a leash.
When you're out walking, Jenny, do you keep her on a leash?
Yes, we do.
And why is that?
Just, it's safer for her. Depends where I am, to be totally honest. If I'm like out in the woods, probably not. If I'm around here, until I get to the dog park, he's usually on a leash.
Gallatin County Regional Park provides a dog area where dogs can run around leash-free. Other than that space, dogs must be leashed at all times, which abides to the city's leash laws. Melina Lully, an animal control officer with Bozeman Police, tells me, in Bozeman, pets must be leashed at all times when on public property, unless they're within boundaries of a designated off-leash park. The incident from Wednesday night occurred in Gallatin County, where leash laws are slightly different. So I also spoke with Gallatin County Animal Control, who told me in public areas, dogs must be leashed or within voice control. Animal Control confirmed with me, although, that if your dog does not respond after calling them once,
Ribby.
That is not voice control, and they must be leashed. And the reason? Melina Lully says, keeping pets leashed prevents accidents and injuries, allowing for a positive pet-friendly environment for all, which is a problem that occurs more often than you may think, considering one Bozeman veterinary clinic told me they see injured pets coming in from off-leashed animal attacks all the time.
Are you ever worried about other dogs?
The dogs that are off leash in areas that are supposed to be on leash are sometimes a problem.
Why do you think it's important just to have a leash ready?
Because sometimes you need it.
In Bozeman, Cassidy Powers, MTN News.
Unmanned aerial systems, better known as drones, are a fantastic hobby and a way to literally elevate the way you see the world. There are, however, many restrictions. So as you go out on your adventures, just like I do mine, you might want to know about the FAA, state, and federal rules that will affect you and possibly get you in trouble. That's why you need to hear what I have to say. Clear and simple, if you're doing this for money, you must have your Part 107 through the FAA. Most of Great Falls falls under Class D airspace. This means you're in the area of an airport, and they do have the right-of-way for pretty obvious reasons. Luckily, there's a free app that makes this really helpful. I can go in here, say what kind of flight I'm going to do, where it is that I'm going to be, and my hours. After that, I can get an immediate response from the FAA in most areas. There's some places you simply cannot fly. As much as I'd love to, I'm never going to fly over Yellowstone or Glacier, and you probably won't either. That's because national parks are controlled by the National Park Service, and they have heavy restrictions about this. The regulation enforced by the NPS has been in place since 2014. The primary reasons are to protect wildlife, preserve the natural soundscape, and ensure the safety and enjoyment of park visitors. Drones can be disruptive to both wildlife and visitors. They can disturb nesting birds, scare animals, and even pose a risk if they crash. In Montana state parks, some use of drones is allowed, but it's heavily regulated. I spoke with a representative from the Montana Fish, Wildlife, and Parks who gave me the following information. They will need to reach out to the manager of the site for permission. Depending on the site, every site is different, the manager will review the request and make a decision to allow or not allow the drone. Additionally, drone operators must adhere to all FAA rules, which include flying below 400 feet, keeping the drone within visual line of sight, and not flying over people. No matter where it is that you're flying, it's very important to do your research. Make sure to check out our website for a full list of resources from both the state of Montana and the FAA. From the skies over Great Falls, I'm James Rowland, MTN News.
Landing.
Well, that's going to do it for this week's episode of MTN Outdoors. Thank you so much for joining us. I hope you're staying safe out there and beating the heat. Till next time, I'll catch you later. But before we end this episode, here's some images from Gates of the Mountains.